Welcome to Sikbaggers YouTube channel. I'm Steve. Today I'm going to be showing you a very cool product that we're going to be putting on a 2015 Freewheeler back here. Now, one of the things that I see that people run into after they purchase a Freewheeler, which is just basically a Road King front end. You can see you can put a quick detach front windshield on here. But one of the things that you're going to run into if you want tunes, just like your bagger guys, your street glides and road glides, if you want tunes on the bike. So there are a couple of options on the market out there if you want to add tunes to these style bikes. Any kind of bike that doesn't have a fairing for a radio, speakers, stuff like that. From Advanblack, we got a crash bar that mounts to the Freewheeler. We also have the lower vented fairings with a 6.5-inch speaker pod that we've added to the Freewheeler. So we've got space now to put two 6.5s. But where are we going to put a head unit and stuff like that? Now with the Freewheeler, you do have a couple of options. Of course, you do have an entire trunk back here where you can put a Bluetooth receiver and maybe a small amp. But as far as the Road King guys, you really don't have that option. So we got the crash bar, the lowers, and the pods on here, and today we're going to be taking this windshield off and we're going to be replacing it with a street glide style fairing. This fairing is going to be from Vector Batwing Fairings, and I'll put a link down in the description. As always, you can click it and it'll take you over to the website and you can check them out. So when you get over to the website, you'll quickly notice that they make fairings for a ton of different motorcycles, not just Harleys, but even on the Harleys, there's a whole slew, a whole line of motorcycles that they actually make these Batwing style fairings for. Now on the inner fairing, you've got several different flavors that you can get from them. You can get blank slate inner fairings where you can put your own speakers in, your own head units, all that stuff, or they already have some kicker and some Rockford Fosgate setups that you can purchase from them. And when you get it, like this one that we've got today, this stuff's already installed. I mean, you get on there and look around, there are a ton of options available from Vector Batwing Fairings. The one that we have today has a Rockford Fosgate Bluetooth unit in the middle. It's not your typical standard single DIN radio. It's actually just a square piece that goes in the middle, and we'll show you that here in just a little bit when we do the install. But also has the 6.5-inch punch speakers already installed into it. And we may do another video here in the future because we're going to be adding another set of those punch 6.5s down here in the Advanblack lower vented fairings, and then we're also going to be adding an amp back here in the trunk to power all of this. So we may do a video on that if we can get the parts in here on time. But today I'm going to show you guys how to install this and how easy it is to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a table over here. We're going to set it up as a soft table so we can set the fairing down on it and we don't have to worry about it getting scratched up. Nice thick blanket on there, and we'll go over the fairing. So here it is out on the table so we can see it. This is the one that the customer ordered for the bike here. Like I said, this is a street glide style Batwing fairing. You do get the inner and you do get the outer. Just want to go over a couple of quick things before we actually install it. Like I said, these come in a lot of different cuts and flavors. This customer just ordered the single 6.5s on each side and then a Bluetooth style receiver in the middle. But there's a lot of different options over there, so make sure that you choose the one that you want. Like I said, they've got single DIN units, they've got dual 6x9s that you can fit in here, all kinds of different stuff you can get from this company. So going over the fairing real quick, this does come in a vivid black, just your standard Harley Davidson vivid black, but you can pre-fit this and also take it and get it painted. If you look right down here, this basically just clamps on the same exact place that your windshield does. So we'll be taking the windshield off of this and basically putting this right back in the same spot. On this side over here, you have a 12-volt power port, and that is sealed with a rubber cap. And if you look on this side right here, we do have a USB auxiliary input, and it has a rubber cap on it as well. You pull that open, you can see that. So that's also watertight once you put the cap back on. So if you look right here, you do have a quick disconnect wire harness that feeds up into the inner fairing and that goes to the audio. It does come with a pre-assembled wire harness, which is really cool. We don't have to do any cutting and splicing and all that good stuff. And it has the other end of the quick disconnect on there. So that'll just plug in, so it makes it very easy to put on and take off the bike. On the other end of that, you're just going to have an inline fuse, positive and a negative. We all know where that goes. That's going to go straight to the battery. Now with that being straight to the battery, we do have an on and off switch right down here, and this is a lighted on and off switch. So when you park the bike and you're not planning on running the audio, you want to make sure that this is in the off position so it doesn't take the chance of draining your battery. So you will get some pretty detailed installation instructions. Like, you want to make sure that you read over this entire thing. It just takes a couple of minutes. And of course, if you order it with audio already installed, you will get the booklets that come with that. We've got the booklet here for the PMX-1, that's the Bluetooth receiver, and then this has all your speaker information on it depending on which speaker that you order. You will also get 2 windshields with it. This comes standard with any of the Batwing fairings. You'll get a smoked and you'll get a clear. Now these do have covers on them to keep them from getting scratched up while you're installing them, so make sure that you pull these covers off. So that pretty much covers the fairing. So let's get to the install. I'll move the camera over here and we'll start taking off the things that we need to take off so we can actually get this installed. So if you already have a windshield, it's very easy to take off. You've got a 1/2 inch acorn nut here and here. So we're just gonna take our 1/2 inch ratchet, wrench, and put this on and get these loose. Now this bike has the lower leg vents, little shields that kick the air out. So we're gonna remove those and set those off to the side. And always make sure to protect your front fender as well. I didn't mention that in the beginning of the video, but you don't wanna be reactive to that. You wanna be a little bit proactive. Go ahead, if you don't have a fender bib, go ahead and put a blanket, towel, something like that. If there's anything that may come down, you kind of lose your grip on. If you're doing this by yourself, you don't want that coming down and busting up your fender. Now that we have those off, we can pull out on the windshield slightly like that. We'll do that on the other side, but the studs came out, and we'll lift the windshield off. Now if you're taking your windshield off, your acorn nuts off, and these studs back out, go ahead and clean up the threads the best that you can. Put a little blue Loctite on them and put them back in. Now this is also a good time to clean up this entire area before you put your Batwing fairing on. With the windshield on here, it makes it very hard to get all of these places and get them clean. So you see this chrome stained up and water spotted and dirty all the time. So we're just taking a little chrome polish, wiped around in here, got it all cleaned up, put a nice coat of wax on there just to protect it a little bit. Now this fairing came already pre-assembled with the lower mounting brackets already installed. Just got a couple of bolts here and a couple of bolts here. If you get the inner fairing that has just the open hole, and go ahead and pull the 2 screws on the outside here on each side and separate the outer and the inner fairing. Install your audio and then put it back together. Now since this came already installed on here, the only thing we have left to do is mount the windshield. So like I said in the beginning of the video, these windshields do come with a protective film. And what I like to do is just go ahead and remove it from the bottom, pull it up, just like that on both sides. And we still have the plastic up here where we can hang on to this and we're not scratching anything up, but we're gonna just slide this in. And we're gonna bend the windshield around, lining up the holes the best that we can. Then you're gonna take your supplied hardware that you have. You're gonna have 1 bolt and a flat washer. Going to put that straight through. On the outside of the fairing, you're gonna take a flat washer, a lock washer, and your acorn nut. Flat washer on first. Split washer. And then, of course, your acorn. Of course, we're going to repeat that process and kind of look down in there to see, make sure you're not hitting the windshield itself, but you're actually going to the hole. Now, you don't want to tighten these down as you're doing it. Leave it loose so you can adjust the windshield. You can still push it to the left and the right to get your holes to line up. If you tighten it down in the middle or the other side, you're not going to be able to push and pull on the windshield to get everything to line up. I'll put the other windshield up here so you can see you've got slotted pieces here. So this allows you, by leaving those bolts loose, to shift this right or left to get everything to line up. So we're gonna start in the middle. We got a number 4 Allen, and then we have a 10mm on the outside. Make sure that your windshield is pushed down. You don't see any visible gap right there. Make sure it looks pretty even. Snug this side down. We're going to snug that one down. And once we have that all done, we can go ahead and finish taking our film off. Now from this point on, the instructions tell us to go ahead and mount the fairing where we took the windshield off. But for camera angles and stuff like that, not having to try to view around this fairing, we're going to skip that step for now. The fairing is ready to install, but we do have to run our wire harness underneath this tank. So in order for me to not have to shoot around this fairing and try to get angles and stuff like that, we're just going to leave it here on the soft table. We're going to come over here and I'm going to show you how to take this tank off. So the first thing we want to do is remove our seat. It should just be 1 bolt in the rear. Here, pull that, pull the seat off and get that out of the way. So it's fairly easy to get this tank off. A lot easier if you don't have a ton of gas in there. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the front of the tank and we're going to pop this little rubber cover off here. And you have one of these on both sides. That is a T40 to pull that bolt. And then you've got 2 bolts right here underneath the seat. Those are T40s as well. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video. I just want to take a quick second to stop and tell you how much I appreciate the hell out of every single one of you. If you could just take 1 second to hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell your friends about us. That's what keeps us coming out here to the shop and creating the free content. It doesn't cost you guys a dime. All of our videos are absolutely free all of the time. We don't have any secret squirrel websites that you can go subscribe to and pay us money so you can watch certain videos, all that. Our videos are always free all the time. And in order for us to come out here and make more content, we really need your help when it comes to just a simple like and a subscribe, and also tell your friends about us. Jump on over to Facebook, check us out over there at sikbaggers, and on Instagram. Join up over on the Facebook group and become a part of an awesome community. We got a great group of people over there that really like helping each other. So make sure to check us out, Facebook and Instagram. But I just want to stop the video real quick to tell you guys, thank you. Now I'm gonna let you get back to the video. We have a couple of things going on underneath the dash that has to come off as well, along with your fuel fitting here. But right here, if you follow this out from underneath your dash, you've got an overflow hose. You can simply get that off with your fingernail usually. Just pull that apart. Now that one's free. Now we have this one, which is, if we follow it back, goes through some zip ties. So we're gonna cut those zip ties off and get those out of the way. We'll replace those later. At this point on the Freewheeler, I would go ahead and remove the side cover. This just snaps out. Now that the zip tie is cut, you can follow this wire. I'm trying to stay out of the camera so you can see what I'm doing here, but right here underneath the tank dash is going to come back, and that was in some zip ties there. So it comes right here back to this black plug right by the ECM. I'm going to simply disconnect that and go ahead and pull it up like this and get that out of the way. We can take the two T40s, break those loose. Now while we're here on this side, we'll go ahead and get this fuel fitting off. This fuel line comes up, goes to the bottom of the tank. All you have to do is push this chrome piece up. First time you do it, it may be a little stiff, but you want to push it up, get it broke loose. See, it's broke loose now. Get you a paper towel, put it on there because you are going to spill just a little bit of gas, but you push up on this and pull down on the black part here, the actual fitting. So we push up. Like I said, first time you do it, could be a little tough, but you just pull down at the same time, mop up that gas right there. Go ahead and get that out of the way. So now we're disconnected there. We got the T40 up here where we pulled the rubber thing off. Go ahead and pull the other T40 on the other side. Feel up under here, there's a wire right here. You can pull this down just like this, and you've got a quick disconnect right here as well. So you just want to push that tab in and disconnect that wire, and now your tank is free from the bike and you can pull it off. Now when you get ready to do this, make sure that you've got a blanket or a towel or something down soft to lay the tank on so we don't damage the paint or anything. But I like to just pull my wires up like this. You've got a tab right here that you can lift up on. So in order to keep the dash from smacking up here on the nacelle, we'll just pull this back slightly and we'll lift up straight on the tank like that. And you can hear in my voice, I'm sure, how much gas is in this thing. Now right underneath the gas tank, right here along the top of the frame, you've got this plastic tray, this housing. This houses all of your electrical wires, and this is where we're going to house our new wires going from our fairing back to the battery. On the sides right here, you've just got a few little plastic clips that you can pop up with your fingers. You're going to do that on both sides. Now if you have ABS, you're going to have some ABS lines that run along here on the side. You can just simply pull those out. They'll kind of tuck in right here. Get that front one, and then we push slightly forward because there's two more tabs up here, and then we can lift that tray up and off. And as you can see right there, there's all of our wires. The next thing we want to do is get to the battery. This part's very easy as well. You've got another T40 here, T40 here. Right here on top, you got your ECM. Get a tab here and a tab here. Lift up and pull it away just like that. Now I like to take a little soft cloth and just kind of tuck that around there like that and keep that there so we don't scratch up the side cover, or you can just go ahead and pop the side cover off so you don't have to worry about that. Right here on top, we had that black plug that we disconnected from underneath the tank. You can take and pop that up just like that and set that off to the side. Lift in the back, push forward and up. and you can take this right off, and now your battery is exposed. So from here, we're going to kick back in the instructions where it said to go ahead and mount the fairing, test fit everything to the front of the bike. So from here, we're going to grab the fairing, we're going to walk it over here, and we're going to install it on the bike. Now we have our rubber grommets back in place on the hardware here. We're going to pick up the outer fairing, we're going to slide the bottom into the rubber grommets, and then we're going to kind of roll it back and put it on the top grommets. Now, if you got somebody else to help you, this would be the time to grab them. So it makes it a lot easier if you have two people, but you can actually do it by yourself. But you'll see me kind of just working back and forth until I get them into the rubber grommets. Line those up best that we can. Gonna roll it back, push down and on. Double check the other side one more time. Now, once we have all four of our pieces into our rubber grommets and push back, just going to work our way back and forth, pulling the fairing down into place. So these rubber grommets that are on here, they're a little weathered, they're a little stiff, so it makes it go on a little bit tight, but everything lines up really good. It's basically just getting this metal plate into that rubber grommet. It's just kind of open and the plate has to set down in the middle. So just kind of worked back and forth and gradually worked it down into place. Once we have it in place and we're happy with the way that it looks, we'll go ahead and put our acorn nuts back on. Now we've ran our wire harness and we've got it tucked up under here and coming out here right underneath the bars, and we're going to plug it in here. The most important thing at this point is making sure that you leave enough slack so when you're turning the handlebars, you're not jerking this wire. So we're just simply going to plug it in. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. I'm gonna pull a little bit of that slack out. We're gonna push it down kind of in front up there so we make sure that we have enough slack, and then we'll bring this and we'll start running this down the tray. Now this has an inline fuse already built into it because it's gonna be ran straight to the battery. Anything, I don't care what you put on your motorcycle, if you're hooking anything directly to the positive side of the battery, you absolutely need an inline fuse. Now, since this one's already built in, we're gonna go ahead and connect it to the positive and the negative on the battery. We have power. Now that we're done hooking up our positive and negative, we can take our battery tray and put this back in. Go ahead and move that towel out of the way. You want to make sure when you're putting this back in that you're not pushing on any wires, crimping anything. Tuck that down underneath that piece of metal down there. Pull it back until it lays down flat. Take our ECM, slide it back in at an angle, push it down until it clips in. Put our black back on here. We're gonna go ahead and tuck this wire down. Go ahead and feed this up in through the tray, making sure again that we have plenty of slack up here for the handlebars to turn. We're going to go ahead, start snapping this back down, making sure none of the wires are hanging out of the tray. Don't want to crimp any of these. We can set our tank back in place. The first thing we want to do is reach up under here like we did before to plug that wire back in. Got it pulled out here. We're going to lift the tank, tuck that wire back up in there. We're going to pull the tank back up into place. Start our T40s in the rear. Start our T40 in the front. Sometimes you got to lift up on the tank just a little bit to get that one started. Cover back on. Next thing we're going to do is hook our fuel back up, push up on the silver thing, in, pull down. Pull down on it to make sure it's connected. Same thing back here. put our overflow hose on. We're going to plug our gauges and stuff back into the top, listen for the click, and you're good to go. Now all we have left to do is put the seat on and we're done with the install. We are done with this part of the install. So hopefully that little walk around there showed you exactly what your Freewheeler could look like. Even though it doesn't come with a crash bar, lowers, fairing, audio, any of that, you absolutely can add it to your bike. And this is something that you can do at home. You don't need to take this anywhere to pay anybody to do it. With just a little bit of knowledge and a couple of tools, you can do every bit of this at home. We got the crash bar and the lower fairings with the speaker pods from Advanblack. They do color match, so this bike was vivid black, so pretty easy match on that. But they got over 80 something colors, so make sure you check out advanblack.com. Check out all their colors, see if they do your color, and they have a plethora of parts over there as well for your bike. And then of course we got the complete fairing with audio from Vector Batwing Fairings. I'll put the link to both of those down there, and I'll put the link directly to this fairing, but make sure you check out their website. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I was actually surprised when I jumped on Vector's website, all of the different fairings that they offer for all of the different motorcycles that are out there. So you know the deal. If you have any questions on this in particular install, jump down the comment box. I check YouTube every day and I'll help you the best that I can there. I appreciate every one of you. I'm gonna get out of here and get back to work. I hope to see you in the next video, but until then, as always, be safe and keep your knees in the breeze. Thanks for checking out the YouTube video, guys. If you like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button over here. Over 100 bagger related videos on our YouTube channel. But to get you started, maybe you can check out this one or this one. Just one of them. Not really gonna say anything else. Just click the button, man. It'll just